Hi everyone, welcome back to the next session of Branches of Forensic Science. So, this is your last session for Branches of Forensic Science, and our next branch is Forensic Psychology. Forensic psychology is the application of the methods, theories, and concepts of psychology to the legal system. So, here we are using concepts of psychology and their theories to solve the legal issues. Psychological reports often play an important role in determining what happens to a client in the criminal and civil justice system. So, while uh, investigating or interrogating a suspect or either victim, if there is a presence of a psychologist, it's actually good for identifying the character or analyzing the character of the victim or the suspect. And in juvenile cases, maybe like the accused will be child, accused is child. So maybe that child will be having psychological issues, and maybe fear of police or any other difficulties, mental illness will be there. So for finding out all such kind of things, psychologist will help. So their report plays an important role. Then forensic psychologists may serve as expert witness, carry out competence evaluation, and otherwise assist litigation and fact finders. So like other experts, forensic psychologists will also serve as expert witness. James McCain Cattell carried out the very first research in the field of forensic psychology in 1893 at the Columbia University. So James James McCain Cattell. This person carried out the first forensic psychological research in 1893, and psychologists also began testifying in court as expert witness in Germany in 1896. So this is the historical aspect of forensic psychology. James McCain in 1893 started the forensic psychology research, and they started testifying in court as expert witness in 1896. This happened in Germany. And the major work forensic psychologist relates to a specific population. Examples such as sexual offenders, violent offenders, drug and alcohol related crimes, child custody evaluation, treatment of criminal offenders, and competency evaluation. Provide psychological services to inmates and offenders, academic research on criminality, design correctional programs. So here, in what all areas the criminal this forensic psychologists are helping. So in cases of sexual offenders or violent offenders, what are their mental state, or while doing that crime, or in whether they are mentally ill, or are they uh, are they consumed any drugs at that time, whether they consumed drugs at that time, or if the if it in a juvenile case, as I already told, what led the child to commit such a crime, and what was his motive, and is there any for a offender, for a sexual offender or any other criminal, is there any past experience for him to doing such kind of crime. Like a criminal profile they will make, and they will assess the criminal, what is the reason behind his criminality, like that. mm, Psychologist will assess then treatment for of criminal offenders. If in such cases, if a mentally ill person committed a crime, they will not send to the prison, they will send to the rehabilitation centers, and their treatment is and the treatment of these criminal offenders is done by the forensic psychologist and psychiatrist. And competency evaluation, whether this person is competent for giving a witness testimony, or whether this person is able to attend the court on the while the trial is going on. Such kind of competency evaluations. And for in the prison, they will go, and in prison they will go and they will give motivation classes, and they will provide psychological services to the inmates of that prison. So these are the major works done by the forensic psychologist. And next one is forensic odontology. Forensic odontology involves the management, examination, evaluation, and presentation of dental evidences in criminal or civil proceedings, all in the interest of justice. So odontology mainly concerned with the study of tooth or dental. Then forensic odontology means if we are using this dental evidence in the application of legal issues, so that is called forensic odontology. And Dr. Oscar Amado Pars, he is considered as father of forensic odontology. Who? Dr. Dr. Oscar Amado Pars is considered as the father of forensic odontology. Dental evidence play a vital role in historical cases of identification of Adolf Hitler. So this was a historical case, and earlier how the dental evidence was used for investigation, and his dental findings were compared with ante-mortem dental records and radiographs. Then recently, we can say in Nirbhaya case, suspects are confirmed by Dr. Ashit Acharya using forensic odontology. So, using the bite marks, we can they identified the suspect. Then, scope of odontology, forensic odontology, management and maintenance of dental records that comply with legal requirements, identification of human remains by comparing ante-mortem and post-mortem dental information, collection and analysis of patterned mark, that is bite marks, on inanimate material or injured tissue, recognition of the signs and symptoms of human abuse, assessment of the age of the person, determination of the sex of the person, identification of victims in mass disasters. So, what are the scopes of forensic odontology, or how forensic odontology is helping in the investigation purposes? What they will do, they will maintain a dental record of the criminals, and whenever needed in any uh, legal to solve any legal issue, they can use that maintained dental record. Then bite mark analysis in the sexual assault cases, bite mark analysis plays crucial evidence. So for the collection and analysis of the bite marks is also done by forensic odontologist. Then by the examination of tooth like molar tooth and all, we can add if it is if only we got the skeleton of the person after putrefaction, then we can estimate the age of that person using this dental information. Then determination of the sex of the person by using the estimate by examination of this tooth, we can identify the sex of the person. Then identification of the victims in mass disasters. So in like in mass disasters or natural disasters, if the identity of if the body is unidentified by the other person, so we can do the DNA. Maybe the skeleton is remained, so we can do the DNA profiling using the tooth, using the available tooth there. So these are the scope of forensic odontology. Next is forensic anthropology. So what is anthropology? Anthropology is the systematic study of humankind that studies the human skeleton and how it has evolved throughout history. So anthropology is the systematic study of humankind and the human skeleton. So anthro means man and pology means study. So basically it's study of human. Then forensic anthropology. Forensic anthropology is the application of science of physical anthropology and human osteology, that is the study of human skeleton in criminal cases where the victim's remains are decomposed, burned, mutilated or otherwise unrecognizable. Like if you are using the science of physical anthropology to solve the legal issues, that is forensic anthropology. Then it includes all the subfields of anthropology like biological or physical anthropology, linguistic, cultural and archaeological. And what do forensic anthropologists do? So forensic anthropologists frequently work in conjunction with forensic pathologist, forensic odontologist, and homicide investigator to identify the decedent. And their work with law enforcement personnel is scene search, excavation, and disc recovery. Then questions of identification, and what is the cause of death, and what is the manner and mode of death, and estimation of time since death. So questions of identification means, like if we are getting a skeletal remain or badly decomposed cadaver, by using the skeletal remains we can identify the age of the person, and we can identify the sex of the we can estimate the age and sex of the person, and also like a race of the person and such kind of things using anthropology. Then in mass disasters and homicide victims, whether the body is unidentified, we can find out the uh, person from the skeleton, like bones, DNA profiling from bones, or by seeing the femur bone or other bones, skull and all, we can identify whether it is female or male, and whether what is the age of the person using the suture of skull and such kind of things. Then facial reconstruction is also possible by anthropology. Then forensic physics. Physics is the branch of science which deals with energy, matter, and their interaction. So if you are using this application of physical science to legal issues, that is called forensic physics. And physics division deals with analysis of building materials like adulterant, cement samples, cement sand proportions, strength of building materials, etc. Then analysis of glass, sand, soil, paint, dirt, etc. Then tool and cut mark identification, restoration of obliterated marks or writings or numbers, etc. So obliteration or restoration of these things means like in stolen vehicle and all, maybe they will obliterate the number plate and all those things, so we can restore that whether it is and identify whether it is a stolen vehicle or not. So for that also physics division deals is helping. And comparison of telegraph copper wires and counterfeit coins, so we can identify whether the coin is counterfeit or original. Then examination and comparison of torn fabric, ropes, etc. So these are the things physics division deals with. So this was our last session of branches of forensic science, and we discussed some of the important branches of the forensic science. So many others are there, so you can read them, and if you have any doubts regarding these 4 sessions, you can ask me, and if additional information anything you needed, I will clear it out. Thank you.